Here's something I've noticed that really worries me. And when I bring it to your attention, you'll never stop thinking about it. And it will annoy the heck out of you. You see, we live in a world where people, they don't want to think anymore. They don't want to go that extra step. They don't want to find solutions. They do not want to stretch outside the box. They want quick. They want easy. They want transactional. They're so reliant on process. I'll go as far as saying they even hide behind the damn things. Maybe it's privilege. I don't know. Maybe they rely on AI to do all the heavy lifting. But when this happens, we lose opportunity. We lose that human drive. We lose connection. We lose our spark. We lose money, customers, relationship. And that little bit that gives you and I that competitive edge, that competitive advantage, it's going to go to the next person. I'm going to give you two stories. I've experienced them that show you what happens when someone does think differently, and one that shows what happens when they don't think differently. Both experiences changed the way I look at communication. It changed the way I look at sales. It changed the way I looked at life itself. It changed the way I looked at business and entrepreneurship. It changed the way I look at privilege. A few years ago, I was traveling through the mountains of Lebanon. Absolutely stunning, snow-capped mountains, beautiful, pristine cedar trees. I stopped in a small village and walked into this humble pastry shop. There was a young boy. He was behind the counter. Maybe he was 12, 13, maybe 15. And I asked him if he had a certain pastry. He looked at me and he smiled and he said, "Yeah, I can make it." Now, I placed the order, but then something unusual happened. Instead of heading back to the kitchen, I saw him run to the back door and I watched him as he sprinted across the road to another shop. He bought a couple of ingredients that he didn't have. He came back and he started baking. Man, in that moment, I was blown away. That boy didn't just sell me a pastry. He sold me trust. He sold me creativity. He sold me possibility. He didn't say no. He didn't say, "Sorry, we're out." What he said was yes. And then he figured it out. That is entrepreneurship in its purest form. That is communication at its highest level. He told me through his actions, "I will make this work for you." And because of that, I will never forget him. Now, contrast this. I'm in Australia. I had this experience. I walked into a mall, into this sneaker shop. Sale signs everywhere, hanging from the ceiling. But I'd missed the sale by just one day. I literally went the next day. I was after a pair of Air Max 95s, a specific set of ones. And I asked the assistant if they could still honor the price, knowing that I was a day late. Immediately, straight away, flat, no. No effort, not even a hint of curiosity. He just said no. I asked, "Could you check with your manager?" He shrugged it off, didn't even try, just said no. So I left. And this is the kicker. I rang another store from the same chain. A lady put me on hold, came back and said, "If you come in today, we'll make it work." Now check this out. One store lost a customer, another store won one. What's the difference? Not the shoes, not the price, not the company. It was communication. One communicated limitation, the other communicated possibility. And that right there is the problem we're facing in society today. One saw a problem and created value. The other saw a problem and shut it down. The difference, it was communication. It was mindset. It was drive. Somewhere along the way, we've lost our drive to think differently. Again, maybe it's privilege. Maybe it's laziness. Maybe it's that we've become so reliant on processes, on bureaucracy, or even on AI, that we've forgotten the very human skill that creates opportunity, that creates communication. You see, communication isn't just words. It's a mindset. It's the decision to say, "Yes, let me see what I can do for you," instead of shutting the door before it even opens. Now think about it. If you offer a service, if you sell a product, if you fix people's plumbing or sell something online, how often do you lose a deal? Not because your product isn't good, but because the way you communicate it didn't land. You might work for a large company or a small business or an organization. How often do you get overlooked in meetings? Not because your ideas aren't brilliant, but because someone else spoke with more confidence. Now, you might be running a small business. How many customers walk away Not because you don't have what they need, but because you didn't frame it in a way that made them feel understood or saw opportunity to provide another service. Maybe you missed the opportunity to upsell them. Maybe you missed the opportunity to get a referral because you didn't know how or when to say it, or you lacked the confidence to do so. This isn't about pastries or sneakers. This is about life. And if you don't control the way you communicate, I can guarantee you it will control you. You know, I've always said I'm a student of history. I love looking back in the past because I believe it teaches us more than we sometimes realize. So I say history is the key to the future. History shows us patterns, it shows us resilience, and it shows us what's possible when people step up and communicate the right way at the right time. But I don't just live in the past. I like to keep my pulse on current events. I like to keep my pulse on politics because it keeps us grounded. It keeps us real. It keeps us connected to the wider world. And it reminds us that communication isn't just a personal skill. It's a force that shapes societies today and the past, and it will the future. And that brings me to a modern example that I think is just as powerful, just as inspiring as the moments we read about in history books. And it happens today. Take Gaza. In Palestine, there's a group called the Gaza Sunbirds. They're a paracycling team from Gaza. Some of them are amputees. Many have lost homes, families, safeties, and they ride on. The conditions are brutal, and yet they train. They compete internationally. They deliver aid during the occupation. They carry people's stories across borders during the genocide. They don't just survive, they communicate resilience. Every time they show up, every time they race, every time they move forward against impossible odds, they're saying, I matter. We matter. We will not give up. And that is communication. It's not a speech. It's not headline. It's not presence. It's action. It's the ability to tell the world who you are, even when everything around you says otherwise. And now, we're in an age where we're facing new challenges. Artificial intelligence, automations, systems that are brilliant, but tools that require us to rely on them. They've made us lazy. They've made us transactional. People let AI write their emails, craft their sales pitches, even speak for them. Now, AI is great. It can process data, but it can't inspire trust. It can't look at someone in the eyes and make them feel heard. It can't run across the road, buy the ingredients, and say, yes, I'll make this work for you today. AI doesn't have the free will that you do. AI just responds to prompts. Only humans have free will. Only you can do that. So what does this mean for you? How can you capitalize on this free will? You see, you and I, every day we face the same choices. Not in war zones, but in meetings, in sales calls, in job interviews, in conversations with your partner or your children. Do you take the easy no, the lazy I can't, or do you think? Do you adapt? Do you connect and find a way to make it work? Most people settle for normal. They don't prepare, they don't push, they don't communicate with intention. And that's why opportunities slip away. But the ones who stand out, the ones who treat communication as their edge, they're the ones that will have a competitive advantage. So let me ask you this. Think about it. How many opportunities have you missed because you didn't speak up? How many deals have slipped away because you couldn't frame your message when you saw an opportunity? How many times have you walked into a room wishing you'd said something differently? You see, you're not bad at your job. In fact, I would say you're a subject matter expert in your field, but you're just missing the one skill that no one ever taught you or I or most people, and that's communication. And indeed, communication is a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. I've seen it transform careers, relationships, entire businesses. I've lived it myself. In a world where people don't want to think, they don't want to stretch, they don't want to go beyond the script, the person who does will always stand out. That's the opportunity. That's the competitive edge. The problem is, society has made it too easy not to try. Privilege cushions us. Processes, they spoon feed us. AI writes for us, and screens, they talk for us. And every time we let a machine or a process speak on our behalf, we lose a little bit of our edge. We lose that human connection that makes us persuasive, that makes us memorable, that makes us trusted. This is why sales feels flat, why customer service most places is frustrating, why customer service feels robotic, but every now and then you get that one gold gem. Why relationships feel more disconnected. Because we've forgotten the one thing that drives us all. That's authentic communication. That's authentic connection. And this is the link. Whether it's a business, psychology, marketing, teaching, leadership, everything comes down to communication. In sales, it's not just the product. It's how you explain it, how you deliver the message. In leadership, it's not just your strategy. It's how you inspire people to follow. In relationships, it's not just what you felt. It's how you express it so they understand how you felt. That's why I say, time and time again, I've said it before and I'll keep saying it, communication isn't a soft skill. It's the very cornerstone of every human skill. And in a world where people check it out, they don't want to think, you will rise. You see, the boy in Lebanon, he'll be a successful entrepreneur, not because of his pastries, but because he knows how to communicate possibility. That sneaker store assistant, he'll keep losing sales, not because of his shoes or the company he represents, but because of his words. And you and I, we have the same choice. We can stay stuck in the transactional world, quiet in meetings, missing opportunities, letting AI speak for us, or we can step up. We can sharpen our communication and take control of the perception you create. And in a world where everyone is looking for shortcuts, the quick win, the get rich overnight, the real power belongs to the people who can think, who can connect, who can communicate. So here's my challenge for you, and I'm going to leave you with this. Stop settling. Stop letting process, stop letting AI dictate opportunities. Stop finding roadblocks and use that energy to find a solution. Start thinking, start showing up differently, start communicating with presence, with energy, with intention, because the world doesn't reward silence. It doesn't reward the lazy. It rewards the people who make others feel seen, heard, and inspired. And that's the difference between being forgotten and being followed, between losing the deal and closing it, between blending in and standing out. Your words have power. Don't give that power away.